जयपुर via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत.
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು
Hyderabad Bhattacharjya Express পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
A myth has been busted. Who says Kolkata is a laid-back city? Who says it takes so much time? This is such an early finish. Probably the first short format game of IPL 2023. I have no questions. Over to Joy.
What do I have to say? Absolutely fabulous, amazing performance. Absolutely.
Camera, can we get a close-up on Joy, please? Only sort of extreme close-up, that kind of shot, itna. Close-up, itna shot. Yeah, Joy. Joy, come on, now.
Arey, white balance kar lo. His face is beaming, sir.
No, just amazing performance. And this is the Kolkata playbook. If they do this right, put up imposing totals, get their spinners to weave a web in the middle. Two spinners, you expected them to do that, they did. But again, Suyash Sharma comes and takes 3 wickets. What an amazing day it is for them.
Yes, a quick confirmation of all that happened. It was a story that saw a couple of highs, a couple of lows as well. At the 10-over mark in the first innings, who would have thought this would be the match summary? 204 for 7, courtesy a Shardul Thakur magical innings, 68 of 29. Rinku Singh contributing 46 of 33 as well. And Bangalore, or Bengaluru, in reply, managed only 123. Mr. Bhogle in Kolkata at the Eden Gardens, spin it to win it.
Mr. Batavia, 89 for 5 in the 12th over. That is the reference you were making. Would you have said 89 for 5 in the 12th over, you'll win by 81 runs? And that long-standing saga between RCB and Net just had another chapter written to it. But no, I don't think this was a track that you could look at and say, was made for the spinners. They just bowled beautifully. I'm loving watching Varun Chakravarthy go back to the Chakravarthy we know. He's pushing it through much quicker. He's got his rhythm going again. Last year his speeds were down. He was tossing the ball up. He was getting hit out of the ground. Now he's pushing it through much more. He's getting his bolds and LBWs again. And he's rushing to take his own return catches. How good was that?
What a finish.
That catch, what? I couldn't believe it. And it's the most difficult catch for him because he's running backwards.
And he called for it and ran and took
And he's earned a few fans at Cricbuzz as well, because all of us get to go home earlier than we usually do. A 3.4, 13 dot balls and 4 wickets. A fantastic economy as well. How much of this was a good performance in isolation, and how much of it can you credit to the number of runs they had in their pocket?
Runs definitely mattered. But two things. One is, remember we were talking about Sunil Narine having gone for 40 in his first match. He comes back. He makes that first breakthrough. And that's the most crucial breakthrough. They get Virat, I think. Yeah. And that's the time the match turns. Remember, the seamers came on first. They didn't do very much. The match turned from when spin came on. And once both of them were bowling in tandem, they were just beautiful. And it's very interesting. Exactly as you were saying, Chakravarthy is also much fitter than he looked last year. Last year, he just looked a little bit overweight, little bit out of...
You saw him chase that ball in the early on in the innings.
Yeah, so he's looking a different player. If Chakravarthy can go and Narine is ageless, I genuinely believe he's ageless. So if those two can go, and Suyash Sharma is looking promising, of course, a long way to go. He's been lucky, but what better bowling opportunity will you get? I think this could be a decent side if they get put good totals on the board.
Safe to say that a fitter Varun Chakravarthy is a more potent Varun Chakravarthy.
Fitter anybody is more potent than. But it's just that on this track, they bowled really well. There were 2 matchups at the start of the innings. One was Umesh Yadav versus Virat Kohli, and the second was Sunil Narine versus Virat Kohli. Both played out. Virat Kohli went after Umesh Yadav early. Sunil Narine got him again. Yep. What was the Sunil Narine one? Bengal,
Narine
Gulesh Sandesh.
Meeta tha, sir.
Meeta tha. I was just trying to test if you remember. But the matchups, you see, eventually there's a reason that the matchups happen. The matchups are not predictive. The matchups tell you what has happened in the past as an indicator for what could happen in the future. And that's why people look at matchups. So his matchup against the top 3 were excellent. But Joy is absolutely right. The senior player provided the breakthrough. And then they just kept hitting the stumps. First 4 were bowled?
Yep.
They just kept hitting the stumps. And look at Varun plus Sunil Narine. This was the pair that took them to the final in 21. 4 for 15 and 2 for 16. They've taken 6 for 31 in 7.4 overs.
Wow. Yes, the KKR spinners do tell a great story that the team will draw a lot of inspiration from. But we've got to talk a little bit more about the Narine versus Kohli battle. That dismissal, how much of it was ego? How much of it was technique? What was it? Was it Kohli trying to say, I'm going to show you that I can score against spin?
I think he had to, he knew that he had to take on Sunil Narine early. The problem with Sunil Narine is because of the way he bowls, you can't, sit back and wait for him because you'll get a chance of an LBW. So you have to at least go forward. And the danger is at that point in time, if he is getting the kind of movement that he does off the pitch, he can really catch you up front. And that's exactly what happened. Virat knew he had to, if not hit him out of the attack, he had to be positive against him. If you hang back against Sunil Narine, he's going to get you. Okay. And so he had to do what he had to do. And I mean, as it turned out, Sunil Narine won the battle. And the moment that battle was won, it's a huge psychological battle because when batsmen of the class of Virat Kohli or Faf, they get out like this. Now, the next person who's going to face these two together in tandem when they come on in the 5th over is going to have this in their heads.
On the Hindi show, Manoj Tiwari said to me that he was once having a conversation with Virat and he told him that I like to attack the opposition's best bowler. But when you're chasing 204, when you know that your lineup depends solely on you and on Faf, should he have waited a little bit, played him out, or is that doesn't suit his aura?
He's in great form. I don't know if it was ego as much. He's just in great form. And if you see, he's actually got out to an off break, trying to hit it on the onside. So he's not even tried to go against the turn or hit across the line. He just picked the wrong line. So the shot was on. He wasn't trying to hit a 6.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that happened. The trickier dismissals were later, which is the Faf dismissal, the Maxwell dismissal, all getting bowled by Varun Chakravarthy, which tells me the fizz in Chakravarthy's bowling, which the heart and soul of his bowling was back. But the Virat one was very interesting. It also tells you if you lose Virat and Faf early, there's not a lot. There's not a lot behind there.
Maxwell has questions to answer then.
Maxwell has questions to answer. Maxwell's not having the greatest international season coming off
He hasn't
injury
played
layoffs.
a lot of cricket since he had that freak accident.
Yeah, so injury layoff. So again, this is not the Maxwell. And Maxwell, again, as I said, you really want to see Maxwell perform, move the tournament to the UAE. It's much tougher.
He had a decent one last year though, but largely I know what you're saying is right. Yeah. I think Maxwell of Australia greater than Maxwell of IPL so far.
Yeah.
But every time you look at Maxwell, you think, yeah, maybe this time.
Yeah.
But all talk of Maxwell must be in Cricbuzz Hindi with Viru.
It's the most entertaining part of it.
A little more on Narine. You've spent a lot of time with KKR. Is there a theory on how batsmen prefer to read him? Can you read him off the finger? What do you do? How do you read him? Because it looked like an off spinner. From here, it's much easier.
It's difficult to read him. Some batsmen read him better than others. The big challenge used to be at one time getting the keepers to read him because, Brendan McCullum used to try and read him in the beginning to try and know which way to go. But I think more than that, it's the amount of, there's a certain thing that it's like an overspin that he gives. So the ball actually hits the ground and quickens up. So actually what happens is it goes and then it goes faster off it, And that's one of his keys that, he gives you a bit more and he has an ability to be able to, if he does a bit more, get a little bit more bounce on it, which is why you'll see the batsman, if it's a horizontal bat in any slightly horizontal bat, the chances of missing it when you're playing cross bat are much more. So he's a very interesting bowler, and at his best, when his action, as I said, they questioned his action, that fizz, that bounce, that overspin went away. He's got that back. I don't know how he's done it, but he's got that back.
Harshal Patel at number 5. Sir, please make sense of that for us.
They're doing some unusual things. We've seen some unusual things in this tournament. We had Anukul Roy batting at 3 in one of the games. We had Harshal Patel coming in to bat at 5 in one of the games. I think what's happened is they had 3 batters in this side and DK who's used as a finisher. So if you lose wickets early, somebody's got to come in to allow DK to play at that role. So they sent Bracewell at 3 to allow Maxwell to bat at 4 to spread it out. More and more you look at that lineup, you think, who is the player they're missing? It's that link between Kohli and Faf and Maxwell and the others. They're missing Patidar. I know I said at the start that KKR are going to miss Shreyas more than RCB are going to miss Patidar. On the evidence of today, they've missed that one Indian player. And that's why I thought they would pick a Lomror or somebody like that in there. Just put an Indian batter in there at 4 or 5.
I don't think they used the impact player. They should have maybe brought in...
Well, they brought Anuj Rawat.
Anuj Rawat much
right
later. Maybe they should have looked at bringing in a Lomror or an Anuj Rawat much earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing that I was also thinking about it. Why do Harshal Patel go in early, get a Rawat or a Lomror, let him bat in position Even for Gujarat, Harshal Patel is not batting at that position now. So what are we talking about?
I've done a little bit of work with Dinesh Karthik, and he seems like a very studious, disciplined guy. I don't think he ever got a late mark in his school diary at Don Bosco Egmore in Chennai. But what was he doing at number 7? Yes, people talk about him being a finisher, but he's one of the senior pros in the team. When the team needs him, can't they send him in the top 4, top 5?
I think his role was clearly defined as someone who goes and demolishes the bowling in the last 30, 35 balls. We saw that in the World Cup as well, that they kept sending him only when those many balls were left. And finally, he had to go in. But remember, as I keep saying, and we must have this discussion with DK next time he's here, he's opened the batting for India in a test match and scored runs. So I'm sure he's perfectly capable. It's just that at the stage he is in life, he has transformed himself into a certain kind of cricketer. And the offering he's making to the side is, I will keep wickets and I will perform this batting role. So maybe they think that is the best way to use him. I don't know.
I know, DK, remember, if you remember Mumbai's first championship season, DK was at number 3.
Champions Trophy, India won 2013, DK was number 4.
What, would he say no if Af went to him and said, listen,
No.
we need you up at
DK
4?
DK will never
He'll
say
yes
no
to
for
everything.
He will never say no.
Is there resistance in the think tank?
No, I think it's not resistance in the think tank. The think tank slotted him as somebody who's a finisher. And at this point in time, they're loath to change the script. It happens. But my point is that Harshal Patel, who bats at 8 or 9 for Haryana, why is he going at...
Sometimes in the white ball game, when he's captain, he goes up as a pinch hitter, as an
tonker,
opener.
yeah.
He goes and opens the batting as a pinch hitter, Harshal Patel. So I wonder maybe if they just thought, look, Harshal Patel down at 8, 9, let's just send him out. Let's see if we can take the spinners apart. Let's see if we can just tong the spinners apart. Let's see if that happens.
Was it a case of a team winning big against MI and saying, you know what, we are high on confidence and therefore our risk appetite is much higher, so let's try something. Maybe it'll work.
I don't know if I could read all that into that batting performance.
I tend to agree with Harsha. I don't think they were high on confidence, so they'll do whatever. I think he's right. I think they were looking mystery spinners. There's an amount of chance out here. Let Harshal go and take the risk instead of one of our more established batsmen. If it comes off, fantastic. If he gets out, there's little to lose. He bats very low otherwise. So that's possibly why they're thinking. I never believe in this strategy because I've seen this used in 2009 especially. I remember one of the seasons in South Africa in the IPL of Mumbai doing it, sending established batsmen, batsmen like Abhishek Nair is going ahead of Sachin Tendulkar, they did stuff like that. And it was just they were trying to hold back reserves, saying, let this batsman take a chance. But the point of it is, if Harshal Patel gets going also, okay, and 5-6 balls he plays, it's not that after playing 5-6 balls, he'll see the ball any better and be able to hit everything out of the ground. Whereas a batsman who's a class batsman, he gets those 5, 6, 7, 8 balls and he's set, he can really make it count. And that's why that theory, I find, the whole theory of, pinch hitters is a bit more difficult to carry off than it normally think it is.
30 for 3 for young Suyash Sharma. Once again, the IPL throws up another name that will now be a lot more in focus. 11 dot balls, lovely hairstyle, long locks, 4 overs, 3 wickets. But, Harsha tends to observe body language very closely, whether it's on or off the field. What did you make of that celebration when he took that first wicket? He says, "Main hoon na."
I hope that was what he was trying to say. And then he did this. My first instinct was when he did this, that maybe he was telling Sunil Narine, Goat, I'm doing that. I did. But, there was confidence in the way he bowled. Yeah. Sometimes when a new kid comes in, you don't know what he's going to bowl. He's got a peculiar action. He throws his head away. Only other bowler I've seen do that is Shivam Mavi. Paul Adams. I've seen Shivam Mavi do that. But I think what that is doing is it's giving him a little bit more. He's got a good wrong on. So, on the evidence of what we've seen today, it looks like a good bowler.
It's added a little more life to the Sharma ji ka ladka meme on Twitter.
Absolutely. No, what I'll tell you, that's why also Kolkata is so important to the IPL. You have Shah Rukh Khan in the stands, you have, strange combination bowlers you don't expect, mystery spinners, some kid comes up, 20-year-old kid comes up who's not played a first-class game in his life, takes 3 wickets. There's so much drama to it.
It is. But the thing is, you don't know what this bowler is going to do because you've not seen much of him before. There won't be a lot of video evidence to prepare for him. But what is he thinking bowling to some of the best players? Does he still have the confidence to say, they don't know me, but I'll still go and bowl with full confidence? 21-year-old, we're seeing that maybe in another era, they wouldn't have had the same self-belief to go onto the big stage and say, I can bowl here. So what I loved was that self-belief. little lucky. I think he asked for the review for the LBW.
yeah.
he
got a
got the
caught
edge.
behind.
I said, "Bhaiya, le lo, review le lo."
You lip read, didn't you?
Yeah. He said, Bhaiya.
He said, Bhaiya, le lo. I thought they were all appealing for the LBW. The only slip who threw the ball up. That's when you realize that maybe there was a little edge on that.
Yes.
But he deserves it. I mean, he went past the bat a couple of times as well.
Has this KKR bowling performance given the other 8 teams a template on how to trouble RCB? Is it as big a weakness as it seems on this batting card?
I think everyone knows RCB is top heavy. Everyone knows that, and therefore the template I think they can take is the fact that you get early wickets. We can put this team under real pressure. Because let's face it, in terms of mystery bowlers, there are very few teams that have the skill and ability of Varun Chakravarthy and Sunil Narine bowling in tandem. They don't. That kind of quality is not there anywhere else. Okay, but they know that get wickets early, these guys are in trouble.
Just looking at when RCB play their next game, they play in Bangalore on the 10th of April, by which time I think Wanindu Hasaranga might just have joined them. I think they finish on the 8th, Sri Lanka, do they? So Wanindu Hasaranga would have joined them. So if Hasaranga comes in, who goes out? You don't leave out David Veli. You don't leave out Maxwell. You don't leave out Faf.
Bracewell has to
So
go.
Hasaranga comes in, Bracewell goes out. Bracewell batted at 3 today because they still have that problem with who's batting 3, 4, 5. So if Bracewell goes away, Hasaranga's not batting 3. So Maxwell goes 3. Who's batting 4? Who's batting 5?
So many questions to answer.
All starting because a certain Rajat Patidar is not here.
So do they then say, okay, Lomrod, we'll back you, or okay, Anuj Rawat, we'll back you the way we back Patidar? You go in and bat up there. They'll have to do something like that. Maybe push an Anuj Rawat to bat at 3, something like that.
When they were bowling, they had the opposition, half of the opposition out for 18-9, and then they gave away 2-0-4 towards the end. This similar thing happened against MI as well. They allowed Tilak Verma to score those runs and allow MI to go 170 plus, I think it was. Is there something in the bowling as well that will worry Faf?
I think there are a lot of questions to be asked because the bowling again, it's not a bowling that could, like when KKR got the throat of this RCB batting unit, they kept their foot on the pedal, they kept their foot on the throat, they didn't allow them to get up. And I think that's something that RCB doesn't do very well. And this is actually a historical weakness. If you look at it, RCB have never had enforcer bowlers saying, okay, we got them 5 down, let's finish the job. They somehow have the tendency to let players off the hook, let teams off the hook. And I think that's been a traditional problem with them. I think they need to solve it. But clearly, this year also, they're stuck with the bowling resources, which doesn't seem to have it. Only thing is, if Hasaranga comes in and maybe their early wickets, Hasaranga in the middle can give them more than they're getting right now.
Yeah, he's starting to bat well too. But just remember, it's just one match. They won one match in style. In our pre-show, we were talking of how RCB are actually doing very well. So that there are weaknesses. Every team has a weakness. It's just that on the day-to-day, RCB's weakness got underlined a little bit. But you said 89 for 5 and RCB let them reach 204. I think Shardul might disagree with that line. He said, I took them to 204. Look, it helps to be a Shardul because he just backs himself. And he just went boom, boom, boom. It came off today. Another day, that first ball that he's hitting is going top edge up and he's getting out. But that was a serious innings today from Shardul Thakur. And then, of course, he picks up that 1 wicket too.
Yes.
So you never keep him out of the game.
We haven't seen the post-match presentation, but Shardul, man of the match for you?
I think Shardul is man of the match. Not so much because of anything else, but because he gave the bowlers a target to bowl
of
at.
course, without a doubt.
Calcutta typically has very passionate and excitable fans. I wonder what Nitish Rana's stock is looking like, Harsha, after this win. It's been a good outing for him as captain. Everything seemed to have gone well except the top half of the batting performance.
When you've got senior bowlers bowling well, it does make the captain look really good. So, I mean, in the last game, he didn't look as clued in, but I think they need runs from him now. So, while KKR have won by, 80, 85 runs or thereabouts, they too have issues in the top order. Mandeep, Rinku had a great game today because Shardul gave him the time to go and play that finisher's role. But now they need more runs from Nitish Rana. I won't be surprised if they rejig that batting order a little bit and get Jagadisan in for maybe Jagadisan for Mandeep.
For you, the batting order in the next game?
Absolutely, I fully agree with him. You have to, at this point in time, Mandeep is not giving you enough. And I think he has to come in, and then Nitish, I think, has to go even if earlier if possible to 3 if necessary.
Yeah, but
it's one.
Can you imagine being Jason Roy? Now how do you leave out Cricbuzz? So now you can't leave out Cricbuzz. You can't leave out Russell. You can't leave out Narine. You need Southee or
You
Lockie.
need one fast.
So now where does Jason Roy fit in?
In the dugout. He'll wait, sir.
Roy in the dugout, Das in the dugout, Bangla getting
Not
angry.
happening, sir.
Roy in the dugout, Das in the dugout.
It's
But-
a very un-KKR like KKR team. Un-Bengali KKR team, isn't it?
But yeah, they need those runs from the top order a little bit more.
But with the ball, as captain, it's one thing to have the resources and it's another to be able to use those resources well. He bowled Narine at the right time. He just kept him going as well.
Yeah, look, it was a bit of a no-brainer, as in that when you had that, you got the spinners in. Once they started bowling the fourth over and you're getting wickets almost every over, it's not a difficult decision to make. I think also Suyash Sharma was a very easy decision. By that time, they were 5 or 6 down, so they knew there was a situation where this is the greatest possible opportunity to bowl him. If, for example, if at that time RCB had been, say, 120 for 2, bowling Suyash even for an over might have been risky. Here, they had a perfect opportunity. Said, if you get hit for an over, it doesn't matter. There's still enough cushion out there. And I think that is what makes the difference, the confidence of the kid. And it's been fantastic for them. They blooded a new bowler. He's taken 3 wickets. His tail is up. And remember one more thing. Batsmen can get out on a single ball. But bowlers' reputation, everyone's now going to be looking at Narine and Chakravarthy and say, score a well up front because these guys are going to come and squeeze you really hard.
Give them enough runs and... Sorry. Go on.
No, I was waiting for one little curious moment when DK came into bat and Varun Chakravarthy was bowling. If you remember, throughout that IPL of 2021, DK behind the stumps was literally talking to Varun Chakravarthy ball after ball after ball about where to bowl and what to do. It was a bit like Dhoni and Kuldeep, DK and Varun. I'll never forget, the interesting thing was they were playing against CSK and they were talking to each other in Tamil.
And CSK
Because
guys,
not a single CSK player could understand Tamil. But I was interested to see how DK played Varun, because having kept to him for 2 years, he probably reads Varun the best.
Everyone understands the language that the points table says. So let's take a look at where KKR find themselves after this 81 run win. Where are they?
Third place.
Oh, number 3 plus 1.872. Their first win in 2 matches. Their first at home as well. Gujarat sitting pretty at number 1, 2 wins. And so do Punjab. So still early days in the tournament, Harsha. Are there 4 teams that give you the impression that they have what it takes to finish in the top 4?
I'd backed RCB to finish in the top 4. But look at of all the 2-pointers in that list. Where are RCB on the 2-pointers in that list? There's plus little bit, plus epsilon, as we say, plus little bit somewhere. And RCB are minus 1.25. This,
How much of a difference is one loss makes?
I mean, people keep telling you're obsessed with net run rate. Me and Bish keep talking about net run rate all the time. But that comes in, you never know when that comes in handy, especially when there are all good teams. We've already seen teams having one good day, one bad day. Lucknow has one good day, one bad day. KKR had one bad day followed by a remarkable day. RCB had a fabulous day followed by a forgettable day. That is what makes the IPL great, because any team can beat any other team on the day.
Yep.
So net run rates you must protect as much as possible.
In the curtain reserve, wasn't it you who said there'll be 6 teams who will be equal on points and then 4 go through? So this game could cost them eventually.
Not 4 go through, I said 2 go through. I felt they were 2 right up.
Sorry, 2 go through. Sorry.
Joy only had 2 qualifiers. He was going straight into the final. Joy had the best system.
I didn't
Played
know.
10 games, 1 final.
I said these 2 look likely to make to the semis. The other 6, 2 of these other 6 should make it, and 2 I thought were unlikely. And one of the unlikelies has just produced a stunning win.
Are you still saying this for KKR, or is it now this?
I said that KKR is not going to make it.
So
and
is it changing? Is the thumb moving now or no?
I just
tail.
love what these 2 guys are doing.
Yeah.
And as long as the spin twins are on, it's game on.
It's a trio now. Suyash Sharma is there as well, sir.
They'll keep using him as a... I think they'll use that sub carefully, depending on the conditions, whether they want... Suppose it's a dewy day and they're bowling second, they might not use him as a sub. I have no idea how he bats. So if he's capable of batting even a little bit, then maybe they could put him in straight away. But I see him being used as a bowling sub, bowling option from time to time.
Good day at the Eden Gardens for the home team, the Kolkata Knight Riders. Match number 10 of the IPL. This caravan moves to Lucknow at the Kana Stadium. They welcome the Sunrisers Hyderabad, who lost their first game. Do we start with the man from Hyderabad? What's your 30-second preview of this game, sir?
हमारे प्रोड्यूसर थे, मेरे को बोल रहे हैं बैटल ऑफ द बिरयानी. बेकार के बातें कर रहे हैं.
बैगन बादा, बैगन बादा.
काय की बिरयानी, लखनऊ में बिरयानी थोड़ी रहती.
Fighting words.
लखनऊ में जो है तहजीब है, बिरयानी नहीं. So this
लेकिन
is the
क्या-
battle of the kebab versus the biryani.
The question has been answered. This debate has been settled. It's not the biryani debate. But
There is
who
never any debate.
isn't?
Wait a minute, the Kolkata biryani is the best.
Yeah,
Without the aloo,
with
without the
hilsa.
atta, there is...
With hilsa.
Sir, may I leave, sir? You guys can.
Nawab Sirajuddaulah was there. He bought the Kolkata biryani from Awadh and we lovingly changed this form to make it a democratic biryani. You will not understand.
After KKR
How
wins,
can Nizams understand democracy?
after KKR wins, we should never argue with Bengali, sir. It's okay.
Kolkata biryani.
Harsha, you have many fans in Kolkata. Do not do this to yourself.
No, I love Kolkata. But does it mean
I'm not going to play United Nations, sir. Please, aap lage raho.
Kolkata mein kai ki biryani mein? Kolkata I can understand. I just had a fabulous vegetarian meal where I had to actually write down things where I couldn't pronounce them. Great cuisine, everything wonderful. But yeah, thoda biryani. Thoda.
भैया मुस्कुराइए क्योंकि ये मुकाबला लखनऊ में है. It's the Lucknow
You know,
Super Giants.
Can you imagine the bowler at the top of his mark and say, Huzur, Gustaki maaf ek gain kare aap?
Bhai, Hindi show is happening downstairs with Virendra Sehwag. But you got to stick to this one. Lucknow versus Hyderabad. Lucknow 1-1. Lost one, but they did not lose too badly. They came close to winning their second game and they couldn't finish that one against CSK. They lost to Dhoni's 12 runs. Isn't that what the margin was even in the end? But Lucknow...
Depends. If the margin was 4 and Dhoni made 4, then that was the margin.
It's always Dhoni, sir. He's always the difference. But let's take a look at their squad and see what the changes could be. Quinton de Kock available. Safe to say, Harsha, that Stoinis could be cooling his heels.
It could be. Now, let's look at what that does to the bowling. They've hardly used Stoinis as a bowler, but they're aware that they can use Stoinis. The question is who goes down to 3? Does Rahul go down to 3 and Quinton de Kock and Kyle Mayers open? Or does Quinton de Kock come down to 3? I'd like to see them use Nicholas Pooran at 4, but they could use Hooda at 4 and Pooran at 5. Hooda gets back into form. We are now talking about a serious top 5. We're talking about top 5 that already has a keeper and 2 overs in it. In the top 5, because Kyle Mayers will give you 2 with a new ball. He swings it as well. Hooda could give you an over or 2 if required. So your top 5 is already looking very good. Then start to look at what you get thereafter. But the top 5 is looking very good.
Joy, to accommodate one Quinton de Kock, everyone will bat in a different position. Is that advisable for a team or is that okay?
No, I think Quinton de Kock is way too good a player. He has to bat top 3. So I see exactly the same thing. Rahul, Kyle Mayers, Quinton de Kock, because that's the template they used for I think the Durban team, was it? I think it was the Durban team, which used exactly the same template. QDK batting at 3. And exactly, that 5 is good. The interesting thing is they've tried to use Kunal Pandya as somebody to dominate spinners at 4. And it hasn't worked out as yet. How long? Obviously, I don't see them sticking to that experiment at this point in time. But where does Kunal Pandya bat? Is he a 6? Is he a 7 for them? Where exactly does he bat? How does the rest of the batting order pan out? It will be interesting to see.
There's Badoni as well, who could be pushed up the order.
At his peak, Kunal Pandya, when he was playing his best for Mumbai Indians in that awesome 5-6-7 with the Pandya brothers and Pollard, they used to float at 5-6-7. Sometimes he'd come up to 5, sometimes he'd go down to 7. But that was his area. Now, at Baroda, he's tended to bat up the order, 3-4 up the order. But I don't see him batting ahead of Pooran. You don't require him to bat ahead of Pooran, especially now that Pooran is 5.
Yeah.
So then I expect Krunal maybe to come at 6, maybe Badoni at 6. And then maybe Krishnappa Gautam loses his place. But the other good thing for them is that Mark Wood has had one sensational game. Ravi Bishnoi is bowling well. Yeah. I'd like to see him as one of the standout bowlers in this tournament. Now, what happens after that? I mean, they'd give anything to have Mohsin Khan back. They've got Avesh Khan. So their bowling is now starting to look pretty covered. So Krunal Pandya, we've hardly seen Krunal Pandya bowl this year.
Lots of bowling options, but they don't seem to want to see Mark Wood bowl in the first 2 or 3 overs. He always comes in 4th, 5th over. Should that change?
Look, it depends on circumstances. Right now, what they're doing is that, remember, this is the Lockie Ferguson formula. Bring him in the middle overs, somebody who's in first, Umran Malik, Lockie Ferguson. And the problem is that they feel that with the kind of bowler Mark Wood is, at the pace that he bowls, there's also a tendency for him to go for runs because even edges fly. And sometimes, therefore, a lot of teams want to reserve their really fast bowlers for the middle overs, where there's more protection at the back, where you have 4 fielders outside. I think that's one of the reasons to look at it also, because you can go for very quick runs because of the way the outfield is and the way the two fielders outside.
Now, a quick look at the Hyderabad squad. They lost their first game to the Rajasthan Royals by 72 runs. Now, the good thing is, Harsha, the availability of Markram, Klassen and Marco Jansen. How do you manage their return?
Now, when I looked at that team, that is the reason why I backed them to make the top 4. I still think the top 3 is very powerful. Someone like a Tripathi and Mayank Agarwal, they're not going to get out early every day. Abhishek Sharma is a good player. So I think when these players come back, I think the only thing you need to look at in that side is who is my overseas player. I see them playing 3 overseas batters in there with Brook, Markram and Klassen as the keeper. Maybe Phillips misses out. And now look at the embarrassment of riches they have for their 4th bowler. Do they go with Fazalak Farooqi, who did really well in that first game? Do they go Marco Jansen? Do they stick with Adil Rashid? They've got so many options in their 4th overseas bowler. The good news for them was, after one expensive over, Natarajan came back to bowl in the death, bowled 17 and 19 and took 2 for 6 in 17 and 19. So if he is bowling well, then Bhuvi can finish off early. They've got Natarajan to bowl at the death, and Farooqi bowled really well at the death. So they might keep Farooqi in as the death bowler along with Natarajan.
Markram's just come in. How much time does it take for a captain to suddenly look at, there are so many options? Can it be a problem of too many? How do you use so many resources?
I think they'll be in touch. He'll be watching every game. He'll be on the line to Brian Lara all the time. They'll be discussing this. So he's not going to come in cold. Those days are over. Thanks to Zoom calls and so many other things, those days are over. He's going to come in. He'll know exactly what the tactic is. And I tend to agree with Harsha that given what they have, again, right up to the season, we thought this was an extremely talented team. Okay, it got smashed in the first match. There were a variety of reasons. But this is not a team, you're not going to get, as he said, Mayank Agarwal, Rahul Tripathi, Abhishek Sharma, all these guys, Harry Brook, all of them to fail together, match after match, it's unlikely to happen. And they have the bowling resources. Bhuvneshwar is a different bowler when he feels he doesn't need to bowl at the death. He's a really good bowler when the pressure of bowling at the death is not with him. So if they turn around and said, look, we're going to bowl you 2, maybe 3 up front and 1 in the 8th or 9th or 10th over and leave it there, Natarajan and Farooqi or Natarajan and Marco Jansen will finish. I think he'll also be, he'll be freed. My only worry is that if you drop Adil Rashid, okay, that means your spin is, basically your spin options are Washington Sundar and Abhishek Sharma up front. And maybe a little bit from Rahul Tripathi, but he's not really much.
If you're looking at Rahul Tripathi to bowl spin, I think you've acknowledged that you're in trouble.
Yep. But, this match is going to be of peculiar interest to a lot of fans who are not necessarily supporters of Hyderabad or Lucknow for KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal. Those are two players that are being watched.
Dear friends, very, very close friends. For some reason, one kept replacing the other in the side. But when they opened together in that one season, I think would have been 2021, they had a great time at the top. Would have been 21, I think, or 20 or 21 of those seasons. So it doesn't matter. As soon as the game is over, they all shake hands and they sit and chat about things anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. KL Rahul at 3 or KL Rahul to open?
I still think they need to open with KL Rahul.
And go de Kock 3?
Yeah, and go de Kock 3. De Kock's used to playing at 3. He doesn't have a problem with that. And I feel that KL Rahul, really what I feel with him right now is you shouldn't be messing with his head. You know what I mean? He's that kind of player. If there's anything, he's one of the all-time greats of the IPL. His last 5-6 seasons, he's one of the top 3 batsmen if you look at the last 6 seasons. So don't mess with him. Give the best batsman his chance. And
can you imagine if someone tells KL Rahul, Rahul, it's okay to make 30 of 17 balls. It's okay to make 30 of 17 balls. Because it's not about one player winning your game. It's about everybody chipping in. That's how tournaments are won. Doesn't matter if you make 30 of 17. Doesn't matter if one day you're 21 of 12. And one day you will make 60 of 35 and one day you'll make 80 of 45 and you'll win the game because that's the player you are. But I think people are getting a little tired of telling him, or maybe not telling him, they're waiting for that player to emerge. So if I was LSG, I wouldn't care if Rahul didn't score 600 runs. For the last 5 seasons, his lowest aggregate is 593. But I wouldn't care if he didn't get 600 runs. If he kept giving me 140, 150, he would win me more matches and he is that good a player. But every time I say that, I get flack, so I don't.
Well, you get flagged for.
Correct. For everything. क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
Okay, sir.
Correct.
It's all right. बोलने वाले बोलेंगे.
Correct. बोल देते हैं.
The other thing is, KL Rahul needs to smile a little bit as well. Don't take a cue from the coach. He hardly ever smile. Gautam Gambhir can smile too. You guys have already answered the question on one player to watch out for. Is it Rahul and Mayank, or do you want to pick someone else?
No, I want to see Markram. I want to see Markram for many reasons. Markram has he's just come back scoring 170 runs in a game. So he's in good batting form. He's led the Sunrisers Eastern Cape to winning in the SA20. But I want to see how he takes control of this team, how he leads, what his batting form is. So to me, Markram is central to the Sunrisers because they have a lot of match winners. I'd like to see how Markram controls. So to me, in Sunrisers, I'm waiting to see Markram.
For you, one Lucknow player?
QDK, Quinton de Kock. Class player, class act. And he's also coming off some sensational.
Did you see him bat in that 258 run chase?
Sensational.
We'll watch him again in action, right? Two South African players will be in focus, Aiden Markram and Quinton de Kock. But in focus now is that khatarnak question that came up on Joy Factor. I thought it was Shubman Gill. Is it Shubman Gill?
No, it isn't Shubman Gill. Actually, it is a player who played as a replacement player in 2009 for the KKR and did pretty well for himself. And the third player here is Morne van Wyk. Played for KKR in 2009, did really well, then had a brief stint where he played for South Africa, got a T20 international century, quite a sensational performer. And again, you don't tend to think of him as a KKR player because he just played that season and never came and played in India because he was a replacement player that season.
If somebody says, my brother wants a KKR shirt, can I have one please? Joy will know that he's a KKR person.
And this is the only time where Joy's thumbs up and KKR will be in the same frame. Look at that. It was a KKR question. Joy had his thumb up on that graphic. Who's the winner? Who's the winner?
That's a sensational answer, man.
Rajesh.
He's a regular. Rajesh is a regular. He's been hitting it out of the park.
Is it?
He's in Nicholas Puram form right now, just hitting everything out of the ground.
Because there is a theory, we discuss it often when you're not there. When you're not there, either he has many of his godchildren around, or Joy
I'm glad you said godchildren.
Or Joy just has.
I'm so glad you said godchildren.
All right. So
What did you say right at the top? Who's the naughtiest on the program?
Always, sir. I'm a well-behaved boy, sir. I'm a chivache, sir. Joy. Right. Okay, that's it. It's 11:45. Harsha's already got a DM from the airline that he's flying on tomorrow, sir. What time's your flight?
My flight is a very civilized 8:25. Last time I was here, my flight was at 6:05.
All right, Harsha is living the high.
Civilized 8:25, going to Lucknow. And they will all tell me, Saji, kebab khaiye, I'm a vegetarian. And they'll look at me and they'll bechara.
They'll feel sorry for you. Of course they'll feel
Sir, the airline just called. They're waiting for you. So we've got to wrap. That's it from Joy, Harsha and myself on Cricbuzz Live. Do join us tomorrow for more. Good night.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपको अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
Lucknow Junction,
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವವರೇ ಚೆನ್ನೈ
Hyderabad Superfast Express, Kolkata Station, Netaji Bhavan. Cricbuzz